Hey guys, and this is the Hellboy Studios, and today I'm bringing you guys another ESO video on which this video is going to be about what the best weapon is for your class. Now this I'm going to be talking about a primary weapon and a secondary weapon, because as you know, once you reach level 15 on ESO Tamriel Unlimited, you have access to a secondary weapon that you can use in your battles and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm gonna be talking about what the best weapons are for your class while you're venturing through the world. Now, some of these weapons you may not like for your class, and that's fine. That's totally fine. You don't have to take my word for it. Just do what's best for your class. But all I'm doing in this video is telling you guys, if you guys want to do high damage or high healing or whatever, I'm gonna give you some weapons that can do that, you know. So anyway, I'm gonna start off with the Templar. Now, as a primary weapon, I would highly recommend a restoration staff. A restoration staff obviously is a really good weapon to use with your Templar, because you can do double healing. And if you go to the I believe it's the restoration staff skill line, there are some healing abilities in there too, and those abilities can help you do like double healing to players that need it, and it could help you out a lot, and you can do constant healing. Yeah, the restoration staff is a great weapon to use as your primary. And as your secondary weapon, I would have to say a shield and a sword. A shield and a sword is a pretty good weapon to use as your secondary weapon. And also there are some abilities in the one-handed shield and sword skill line. I don't know if that's what it's called, but anyway, in that skill line, the one-handed shield and sword skill line, there are some abilities that could help you, do lots of damage as well. For example, I believe it's called the shield bash or something like that. Either way, it's an ability where you bash the enemy with their shield, and that is going to help you because you can prone, or not prone, but you can set the enemy off balance or player. And that could help you out a lot, because while the enemy is off balance, that could be your chance to do lots of damage. And if it doesn't get the enemy or player off balance and you end up getting attacked, you'll have the restoration staff to switch to really fast and heal yourself with. So it's a really good combo. So yeah, the primary weapon, restoration staff; secondary weapon, one-handed sword and shield. So those are really good weapons to use. Also, the shield is a really good weapon to use as well, because you can block a lot of damage than any other ordinary weapon. So yeah, but anyway though, it would just combo good with all of your Templar abilities, because you're gonna need the restoration staff especially, but also the one-handed sword and shield will do a lot of damage in that skill line. But anyway, moving on to the next one. The next one I'm going to be moving on to is the Sorcerer. Now, the primary weapon that I would recommend for the Sorcerer is the Destruction Staff. The Destruction Staff, as I said, well, not as I said, but the Destruction Staff has some pretty interesting abilities in its skill line that could help you, especially the ultimate ability. If you guys didn't know already, once you reach level 50 in the Destruction Staff skill line, you'll be able to I believe, unlock the ultimate ability, and that's for all the weapons. So, newsflash, you have to be, whatever weapon you're using, you have to make sure it's level 50 before you can use the weapon's ultimate ability. So, for example, if you're using a two-handed weapon, you need to rank that skill line up to level 50 in order to use the ultimate ability. But anyway, back to the sorcerer. The primary weapon I would recommend you use is the destruction staff. Now, as I said earlier, the destruction staff has some interesting or helpful abilities that are going to be helping you in that skill line. So, yeah, if you just combo those abilities up good along with the abilities of your sorcerer abilities, it could combo up pretty good and you could deal a lot of damage. So that's gonna help a lot, especially if you're in Cyrodiil and you're fighting against other players. That's gonna help you a lot. And believe it or not, if you find a player that's, you know, alone, not with the group, you can easily, you know, just destroy him. Yeah, moving on to the secondary weapon for sorcerer is restoration staff. Just hear me out. The reason I say restoration staff as a secondary ability for the sorcerer is because you're gonna want some type of healing coming in while you're dealing lots of damage. This is so you're just not such a burden on your team. This is so like you're not such a burden and you don't need healing all the time while you're in dungeons or PvP. Either way, this is so you don't need healing all the time, because you're not going to want to be healed constantly because you're getting, you know, sorry, my throat's kind of clogged up a little bit. You don't want to have to need some healer healing you all the time, because you just want to you want to have some type of healing coming in while you're dealing lots of damage. Even though the healer's job or the Templar's job is to heal players, you still don't want to be healed constantly all the time. You want to be able to go lone wolf, you know, sometimes to deal some damage. You don't want to have to constantly need some healer over your head healing you, and other players that need healing while you're dealing damage. You know, you want to be able to heal yourself just in case if you need to go lone wolf or whatever you do. You know, you want to have some type of healing coming in either way. So restoration staff has abilities that can heal you in its skill line, and those abilities are gonna help you so you can do a little bit of healing. You know, not a lot. I mean, some of the skill abilities in the restoration staff skill line can heal you for a pretty good amount, but you just want like a good amount of healing so you can keep on going, you know what I'm saying? And the Templars can do a rest to heal you up more. You know, whatever's going on, you're gonna need your restoration staff. That's kind of like to sum it up. So yeah, anyway though, moving on to the Dragon Knight. Now the Dragon Knight, in my opinion, is more of a tank class, but you can use it as something else. You can use it as a DPS. Now I just want to say this right now before I get into the Dragon Knight weapon, whatever. Before I get into the Dragon Knight, all these classes requires you to build them up right. So if you want to use let's just say you want to be a freaking sorcerer with a two-handed sword, and you want to use a two-handed sword abilities, right? You have to use the again, sorry about that. My throat's kind of clogged up because once you talk for a long time, your throat starts getting clogged up. But again, once you use what was I saying? Yeah, if you want to use a two-handed sword with your sorcerer, and you want to use the two-handed sword, abilities in that skill line, you have to build the sorcerer up right. And that includes passive abilities, anything that's gonna help you do lots of damage. And that's gonna combo up good with your two-handed sword. You know what I'm saying? Now, the thing that a lot of people don't understand is you have to, if you're gonna be using a two-handed sword is, I'm not gonna say it's slow, but it does have a slow time. So if you're one of those people that just does deal damage fast, the two-handed sword isn't gonna work for you, because the two-handed sword purpose is to deal lots of damage. But anyway, I just want to say that there are plenty of builds out there that you can look up to, like if you want a sorcerer DPS build, there are plenty of builds out there for sorcerer, DPS, tank, whatever. But just go out there, look for the class that you want to look for the build for, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I just felt the need to say that because I don't want somebody commenting on this video saying all the tips in this video suck, because I just figured I'd let you know right now. It's how you build your class up. And so yeah, but anyway, back to the Dragon Knight. The primary weapon I would recommend for the Dragon Knight is a two-handed sword. Now, the reason I say two-handed sword is because there's one specific, don't get me wrong, the rest of the abilities in the two-handed sword skill line is great, but there's one specific ability that's gonna help you do lots and lots of damage. That's gonna combo good with your Dragon Knight abilities, and that is the uppercut. The uppercut, if you do it right, it could do massive amounts of damage while you're using your other Dragon Knight abilities, and it can help a lot, and it's gonna help you deal massive amounts of damage. Like, I'm serious, I've seen lots of other players using this ability with their Dragon Knight, and it's done massive amounts of damage, whether a tank or they have a DPS build. Either way, if you use this uppercut abilities with your other Dragon Knight abilities, you are going to do a massive amount of damage. So yeah, sorry if I'm sounding a little bit weird, guys. It's just my throats, like I was saying earlier, once you talk for a long time, your throat starts getting kind of cloggy. So I'm sorry if I was coughing earlier in the video. But anyway, moving on to the secondary weapon for Dragon Knight, and that is one-handed shield and sword. Again, as I said for the other class, there are some very helpful abilities in the one-handed shield and sword skill line that will help you combo up good with your Dragon Knight abilities. And those abilities are going to help you out a lot, and it'll just combo good with your Dragon Knight abilities. Like the shield bash, if you use that while you're using, your other Dragon Knight abilities, use your Dragon Knight abilities, shield bash. Use your Dragon Knight abilities, shield bash. That could do a lot of damage as well, along with using your sword. That also includes the low slash too. Because the low slash slows the enemies down, including PvP players too. But mainly, if you're doing dungeon stuff, it'll slow the enemy down. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the Dragon Knight. I'm moving on to the Nightblade. The Nightblade is my favorite. That's how come I was slaving it for last. The Nightblade is a very deadly class, so you're going to want to build it up with a DPS build to make it deadly. So the Nightblade class requires you to really build it up right. Now, I'm not saying that because the other classes do require you to build it up good, but the reason I say Nightblade requires you to really build it up good is because it's more of a deadly class. So you're going to want to build it up deadly. Now, the primary weapons is dual wield. Dual wield has I believe it's called Whirlwind. You're gonna want the dual wield. You're gonna want one specific ability in the dual wield skill line, and that is Whirlwind. If you use Whirlwind with your other Nightblade abilities, you can do massive amounts of damage, and not only that, you can do a little bit of damage to the enemies around you or players. So this can really help a lot. And this ability is just really awesome, and it can do that. So I just want to list that as the primary. So yeah, but yeah, the dual wield. If you use dual wield weapons, you will do massive amounts of damage along with your Nightblade abilities. This you can do tons of damage with dual wield. So dual wield as your primary weapons for Nightblade. Now, your secondary weapon for Nightblade, I would have to say that I recommend you use is two-handed sword. Now, just slow down. You're probably saying to me right now, why two-handed sword? That's not the type of weapon to be using with Nightblade. But it is. Well, I mean, normally, two-handed sword isn't really the best thing to use for Nightblade, but I've seen many people use two-handed sword with their Nightblade and deal like deadly damage to monsters, to dungeon monsters in particular, because I know a lot of people do dungeon stuff and quests and that kind of stuff, but PvP players too. And it's just, the reason I say two-handed sword as a secondary weapon is because the uppercut ability is going to help you out a lot. And while you turn invisible, as you know, if you morph it right, while you're invisible, whatever your next attack is, while you're invisible, if you use that uppercut, dude, that is lots of damage. And if you morph the uppercut into dizziness, that can stun the enemy bad too, badly. Like I'm talking, it'll destroy your enemy. Like it'll deal you a lot of damage. You will be dealing lots of damage, and that is why I say two-handed sword. That's why I say you need to use a two-handed sword as your secondary weapon, because the uppercut ability will help you out a lot. While you're invisible, you can use the uppercut ability. While you're invisible, use the uppercut ability. While you're invisible, use the uppercut ability. And this will help you a lot. I'm telling you, like, this will do you lots and massive amounts of damage. But without further ado, that is pretty much it. I hope this video helped. Please feel free to leave a like and subscribe. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, I have to say this, guys, you have to build it up right in order for these to work. The stuff that I told you guys in this video, you have to build it up right. So I just want to put that out there. But anyway, without further ado, this is Delboy Studios, and I will see you guys in the next video.